We're staying with News 3. We're now just 14 hours away from the polls opening in Wisconsin.
Candidates are using these final hours to urge their supporters to cast their ballots tomorrow. We have team coverage as the candidates are making their final push before Election Day. And we begin with our Rose Schmidt, who joins us live from the Majestic Theater, where the Democrats are rallying tonight. Rose?
Well, Democrats here in Wisconsin are hoping that voters in Wisconsin are fed up with the Republicans who have been in control over the last 8 years here in our state, and that energy will drive them to the polls tomorrow. Tony Evers and Tammy Baldwin are set to speak here in about 20 minutes or so. They've been traveling all around the state today, making stops in Janesville, Beloit, and Whitewater. Today, they thanked people across the state who voted early and hope the outcome of one of the most closely watched governor's races across the country ends up in their favor tomorrow.
I know many of you voted and you have good friends and neighbors. I'm sure you know someone that doesn't vote regularly. Just give them a call and ask. People want to be asked. You know what? And they may say, well, I don't know who to vote for. And you can say, Tony Evers.
Evers is touting his record in education and showing his contrast against Scott Walker when it comes to health care and transportation funding. And Evers has been traveling across the state of Wisconsin ever since he won the primary back in August. And now tonight he's ending up back in his home here in Madison. And tonight he's actually celebrating his birthday. He turns 67 today.
Rose Schmidt reporting live from the Majestic Theater. Rose, thank you.
And Republicans will be holding their own rally later tonight and are hitting spots all across the state in a last-minute campaign frenzy.
Our chief political reporter, Jessica Arp, has been following the top of the ticket Republican candidates for their final messages to voters. Jess?
Well, given this dead heat race, motivating every voter to get to the polls is going to be key for both parties. And Republicans spent time in both swing and base parts of the state for them. Governor Scott Walker starting his day in La Crosse, then heading to Eau Claire, Superior, Schofield, and De Pere. State Senator Leah Vukmir, who is running for U.S. Senate, hitting GOP field offices in Green Bay, Wausau, and La Crosse. Walker and Vukmir agree this is a major last-minute effort to target their base and anyone that's left undecided.
We get some people who are longtime activists. It's getting them energized to keep making those last-minute phone calls and knocking on doors and talking to neighbors. To others at places like this, it's literally talking to voters who work here who may still be up in the air.
We know that getting out the vote is ultimately what will make a difference, and our base is energized, and we are just encouraging people to look at where they were 2 years ago, 8 years ago, who are the people that made those differences.
Now, Governor Walker both on offense and defense today on some pretty specific issues in this race. He's been trying to make the case that he intends to make sure pre-existing conditions would be covered under his administration, saying last week for the first time that he'd adopt Affordable Care Act language in state law to do so. He's also pushing back on Tony Evers, saying he won't raise any taxes, saying eliminating any part of the state's manufacturing and ag tax credit on high-income earners would be a tax increase.
All right, Jessica Arp in our news center. Jessica, thank you.